The evacuation sirens had become background noise after 14 days. Inside the reinforced command bunker beneath Haven 7's main settlement, Commander Raleigh's checked the power readouts for the third time in an hour. The numbers refused to improve. Shield integrity sat at 23%, dropping 2 points every 6 hours despite every conservation measure they could implement. Dominion fleet is tightening the blockade. The sensor operator, a young peltier named Vosh, kept his voice steady despite the tremor in his secondary arms. 47 warships now. 3 more jumped in during the last cycle. Raleigh's nodded without looking up from the tactical display. 50,000 civilians depended on decisions made in this room. Refugees from a dozen worlds, all fleeing persecution, all believing Haven 7 would be their sanctuary. The Dominion had other plans. Dr. Nira Solon entered through the sealed doorway, her medical coat stained with dust and blood. Eastern sector took another hit. Building collapsed. We pulled out 15 wounded, but the trauma ward is beyond capacity. Food stores, Raleigh's asked. 4 days, maybe 5 if we cut rations again. Nira's expression carried the weight of too many impossible choices. The children are already weak. A human voice cut through the tension. We need to send the distress call. Captain Brennan Cole stood near the communications station, arms crossed. He had arrived on Haven 7 2 years ago aboard a damaged freighter, just another merchant trying to survive in the outer colonies. His experience with ship systems had made him invaluable to the defense effort, but right now his suggestion drew skeptical looks. We sent 12 distress signals. Raleigh's gestured at the communications log. 3 civilizations responded. All said the same thing. The Dominion is too powerful. No one wants to risk a war. Not to them. Brennan moved to the console, to Earth. Silence filled the bunker. Bosch broke it with a confused chirp. Earth, the isolated system, they barely have functional jump drives. What could they possibly do? Brennan's jaw tightened. 8 years ago, that was true. Things change. Earth rejected galactic integration. Nira spoke gently, recognizing the pain behind Brennan's eyes. They chose isolation after the Council denied their membership. Why would they help us? Because it's the right thing to do. Brennan activated the communication array. And because they're human, we're stubborn that way. Raleigh studied the human carefully. Pride and doubt warred in Brennan's expression, like a man defending something he wasn't entirely sure existed in him. How long since you had contact with Earth? 8 years. I left before the Great Expansion started, before they closed the borders. Brennan's fingers moved across the controls, entering encryption codes from memory. But I know my people. If there's even a chance they received this message, they'll come. The Dominion commander gave us 48 hours. Raleigh's checked the countdown time. 36 hours remain. Surrender or be destroyed. Then we have 36 hours to hope. Brennan transmitted the coded message into the void. Message away. The bunker fell quiet except for the hum of failing systems. Somewhere above, another explosion rattled the settlement as Dominion bombardment continued its methodical destruction of outer defensive positions. A small figure appeared in the doorway. Tala, a young Orni girl with silver skin and enormous dark eyes, clutched a worn blanket. Dr. Solon, my mother's coughing again. Nira knelt beside the child. I'll check on her soon, sweetheart. Are you staying in the shelter like we asked? Yes, but everyone's scared. Tala looked at the adults with the brutal honesty only children possess. Are the bad ships going to kill us? Brennan crouched to Tala's level. No, help is coming. How do you know? Because I sent a message to some very stubborn people, and stubbornness is hard to kill. Tala processed this with the seriousness of someone twice her age. Will they get here in time? I hope so. The ground shook as another bombardment wave struck. Tala flinched but didn't cry. She had grown up in war zones, fleeing persecution across 3 systems before Haven 7. Fear was familiar, hope was not. Nira led Tala back toward the medical section. Raleigh's returned his attention to the tactical display. think Earth will respond?" the commander asked quietly. Brennan stared at the communications console, at the sent message indicator blinking softly. "I think the Earth I knew wouldn't have the capability, but the galaxy spent 8 years telling humans they weren't good enough, weren't advanced enough, weren't worthy. Of respect," he paused. "You know what happens when you tell a human they can't do something? What? They prove you wrong every single time." Vosh's console chimed. "Commander, Dominion flagship is broadcasting." The message played through the bunker speakers. "Haven 7 Colony, this is Dominion Commander Rex. You have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. Comply and become labor assets. Resist and face complete annihilation. Choose wisely." Rawley's looked around the bunker at the exhausted faces of his people. At Brennan, still staring at the communications array with desperate hope. At the medical section where Nira treated wounds they couldn't properly heal. At the shelter sections packed with families who had nowhere left to run. "Send our response," Raleigh said. "We refuse surrender. Haven 7 stands." "Commander, that's suicide," Vosh whispered. "Perhaps, but slavery is worse than death. We stand." Raleigh straightened his posture. "And if Captain Cole's message reaches anyone who cares, maybe we won't stand alone." The transmission went out. Above the colony, Dominion warships began moving into final attack formations. The countdown had begun. 24 hours to live or die. Brennan remained at the communications console, monitoring for any response from Earth. The silence stretched. Nothing came. But he didn't leave his post, stubborn until the end. 20 hours remained when the first shelter collapsed. Brennan helped pull survivors from the rubble, his hands raw and bleeding. A Kelthian family emerged coughing dust, their young child unconscious but breathing. Dr. Solon rushed forward with medical equipment that looked increasingly inadequate for the scale of devastation. The bombardment had shifted from targeted strikes to sustained pressure. Dominion ships weren't trying to capture Haven 7 anymore. They were preparing to erase it. "Shield integrity at 9%, Vosh reported, his voice cracking. "We're losing power to the western grid. Shelters 3 and 7 are on emergency backup." Commander Raleigh studied the tactical display with the calm of someone who had accepted the inevitable. "Reroute everything from non-essential systems. Life support and medical only." "Commander, we received responses to our distress calls." The communications officer, an older Avari named Kelm, looked like he regretted speaking. 3 more civilizations. And all declined. The cooperative states said they cannot risk war with the Dominion. The Federation expressed sympathies but cited defense treaties preventing intervention. The Alliance offered prayers. Prayers? Brennan wanted to laugh but couldn't find the energy. 50,000 lives and the galaxy offered prayers. "Any response from Earth?" he asked, knowing the answer. Kelm shook his head. "Nothing." The words landed like physical blows. Brennan had spent 20 hours telling himself the message would reach someone, that Earth had changed, that humanity wouldn't abandon civilians in need. But the silence suggested otherwise. Maybe Earth had grown isolationist. Maybe they never received the message. Maybe they just didn't care about problems light years from home. "Captain Cole," Raleigh's approached quietly. "You should rest. The medical teams need healthy volunteers." "I'm fine. You've been at that console for 20 hours. "I said I'm fine." Brennan's hands trembled as he rechecked the communication logs. Still nothing. Empty space returning empty signals. Raleigh's placed a hand on Brennan's shoulder. In another life, they might have been enemies. Humans and Avari had no shared history, no cultural connection. But here, under bombardment, waiting for death, species didn't matter. "You did everything possible. If Earth cannot help, that's not your failure." "Feels like it." "I know." Raleigh's returned to the command station, issuing orders to evacuate the northern sectors. Nira found Brennan an hour later, bringing synthetic coffee that tasted like recycled regret. "You need sleep." "Can't. What if the message comes through and I miss it. Kelm is monitoring all frequencies. He'll alert you immediately. She sat beside him, exhausted beyond measure. Brennan, even if Earth wanted to help, could they get here in time? We have 19 hours. He had run those calculations 100 times. Jump distance from Earth to Haven 7, assuming they had improved FTL drives, assuming they mobilized immediately, assuming everything went perfectly. Minimum transit time, 14 hours. If they left the moment they got the message, they'd arrive with 5 hours to spare. That's a lot of assumptions. It's all I have left. Tala appeared, dragging her blanket behind her. She had drawn pictures across it with salvaged markers, crude images of ships, big ships facing small ships. Captain Brennan, are your people coming? The question hurt worse than any bombardment. Looking into those enormous dark eyes, seeing trust he didn't deserve, Brennan wanted to promise her everything. Instead, he told the truth. I don't know, Tala, I really don't know. She nodded seriously and handed him the blanket. You can keep this, so you remember they're coming. Tala, I can't take your blanket. It's okay, when the ships arrive, you can give it back. She smiled with the unshakable faith of childhood. They'll come, you said humans are stubborn. She left before Brennan could respond. Neera watched him clutch the blanket covered in childish drawings of hope. We should prepare the civilians, Neera said softly. If Earth cannot help, the Dominion will attack soon. People deserve time to say goodbye. No, Brennan stood abruptly. We keep fighting. Every minute we survive is another chance. A chance for what? Brennan, I understand hope, but we have to face reality. Reality is that we're not dead yet. He moved to the command station. Commander Raleigh's, how much ammunition remains? Enough for maybe 40 minutes of sustained fire. Raleigh's understood where this was going. You want to fight. I want to make them work for it. Every Dominion ship we damage is one that can't threaten the next colony. Maybe we can't win, but we can make our deaths mean something. Vosh looked up from his console. Commander, I'm detecting spatial distortions at the system edge. Dominion reinforcements. Raleigh's moved to the sensors. Unknown, the signatures are strange. Multiple jump points opening simultaneously. Vosh adjusted the readings, confusion clear in his expression. This doesn't match Dominion technology. Brennan felt his heart stop. What does it match? I don't know. The energy signatures are massive. Whatever's jumping in, they're big. The bunker fell silent except for sensor arrays pinging unknown contacts. On the tactical display, icons began appearing at the system's edge. 1, 5, 20, 50. The numbers kept climbing. How many ships? Raleigh's demanded. Vosh's voice shook. Over 200 contacts, and they're still coming. Neera grabbed Brennan's arm. Could it be? I don't know. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Just stared at the tactical display as more icons appeared. What are their identifiers? Vosh worked the controls frantically, trying to get clear readings. The energy output is interfering with sensors. Wait, I'm getting something. The bunker held its collective breath. Ship identifiers confirmed. Vosh looked at Brennan with something between shock and disbelief. They're broadcasting Earth Defense Fleet markers. The world stopped. Every eye turned to Brennan. They came, he whispered. They actually came. On the tactical display, the Earth fleet began moving toward Haven 7. Not cautiously, not hesitantly, but with the absolute certainty of overwhelming force. Commander Raleigh stared at the impossible numbers. What happened to Earth? Brennan couldn't answer. He was watching 200 ships that shouldn't exist, representing a civilization that had been dismissed as primitive, racing across space to save people they'd never met. Tala's drawing suddenly made perfect sense. The big ships facing the small ships. Humanity had arrived. The Dominion fleet hung in confused formation, weapons still trained on Haven 7, but attention divided. On their sensors, the impossible was happening. A civilization they had dismissed as irrelevant was deploying enough firepower to reshape the entire sector. Inside ships with shaking hands. 12 carriers, each larger than anything the Dominion fielded. 30 heavy cruisers with weapon arrays that defied conventional design. 50 destroyers moving in perfect formation. And at the fleet's center, 8 vessels that made everything else look small. What are those? Raleigh's pointed at the massive dreadnoughts. I have no idea. Brennan had left Earth before the expansion. This fleet represented 8 years of development he never witnessed. Earth didn't have ships like this when I left. Vosh enhanced the sensor data, his hands trembling with excitement or fear. The energy signatures are incredible. Those dreadnoughts are outputting power levels equivalent to small stars. An incoming transmission cut through the bunker's stunned silence. Haven 7 Colony, this is Admiral Grace Miller, commanding officer of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress call. Please respond. Raleigh's recovered first, activating the communication channel. Admiral Miller, this is Commander Raleigh's Haven 7 Defense Coordinator. We're reading over 200 ships. Is that accurate? Affirmative, Commander. We brought everything available in range. Is your colony secure? Negative, shields at 7%. Dominion fleet of 47 warships preparing final assault. We have maybe 12 hours before complete failure. Understood, stand by. The channel switched to broad spectrum. Every ship in the system could hear what came next. Attention Dominion forces. This is Admiral Grace Miller of the Earth Defense Fleet. Haven 7 is under our protection. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. You have 10 minutes to begin retreat. Failure to comply will be considered an act of war. Respond. The bunker erupted in shocked murmurs. Brennan felt dizzy. Earth wasn't asking, wasn't negotiating. They were giving orders to an empire that controlled 40 systems. The Dominion commander's response crackled with contempt. Earth vessel, you are interfering in Dominion territory. We claim this system by right of conquest. Your primitive fleet should withdraw before you embarrass yourselves. Silence, then Admiral Miller's voice returned, colder than before. You were warned, all Earth ships weapons free. Eliminate Dominion forces. Rules of engagement, disabled ships may surrender. Active threats will be destroyed. Execute. What happened next will be analyzed in military academies for generations. The Earth fleet didn't advance conventionally. They split into precision strike groups, each carrier deploying thousands of autonomous drones that moved like schools of predatory fish. The heavy cruisers opened fire from extreme range with weapons that shouldn't work at that distance. Railgun rounds accelerated to relativistic speeds across the distance in heartbeats. The first Dominion cruiser exploded before its crew understood they were under attack. The second tried to dodge, but the targeting systems predicted every evasive maneuver. Plasma torpedoes that curved mid-flight, tracking targets like living things, tore through shields and hulls with surgical precision. They're not even slowing down, Vosh whispered, watching the tactical display. The Dominion fleet attempted to return fire, but Earth's point defense systems created walls of intercepting rounds. Nothing got through. Missiles detonated thousands of kilometers from their targets. Energy beams scattered against fields that shouldn't exist. Then the dreadnoughts fired. Gravity pulse cannons that bent space itself, crushing 3 Dominion destroyers into fragments. Electromagnetic disruption waves that shut down entire squadrons. Simultaneously, leaving them drifting and helpless. Nanomissile swarms that overwhelmed every defense system, each individual missile no larger than a fist, but devastating in coordinated thousands. 6 Dominion ships destroyed, Vosh reported, voice shaking. Make that 8, 10, they're not even slowing down. Brennan watched Earth fighters scream past Haven 7's orbit, their shields blazing blue-white. They moved impossibly fast, coordinated through networks that made them function as a single organism. 3 fighters would draw fire while 5 others flanked. When Dominion ships targeted the flankers, the original 3 would strike. Dr. Solon gripped Brennan's arm. This is Earth, the Earth you left. No, he couldn't look away from the display. This is what Earth became after the galaxy abandoned them. The Dominion commander attempted retreat, ordering his remaining ships to jump to FTL. Earth destroyers were waiting at every jump point, not guessing where Dominion ships would go, knowing. The tactical coordination suggested prediction algorithms decades beyond anything the galaxy used. A Dominion heavy cruiser tried to flee toward the outer system. An Earth carrier deployed specialized hunter drones that disabled its engines in seconds. The cruiser drifted, helpless but intact. They're not destroying fleeing ships, Rallies observed, just disabling them. Mercy, Neera said softly. They could annihilate the entire Dominion fleet, but they're showing restraint. 15 minutes after the first shot, the Dominion fleet was shattered. 16 ships destroyed, 22 disabled, 9 surrendering. The remaining vessels surrounded by Earth forces with nowhere to run. The Dominion commander's voice came through broken. We surrender, cease fire, please, we surrender. Admiral Miller's response was immediate. Cease fire. All Earth ships hold position. Dominion commander, you threaten to annihilate 50,000 civilians. You will personally apologize to the colony you tried to destroy. Broadcast on all frequencies. Now. Silence, then humiliated. Haven 7 colony, this is Commander Rex. I apologize for threatening your people. The Dominion withdraws all claims to this system. Insufficient, Miller's voice carried steel. You will also guarantee safe passage for all refugee vessels in this sector. You will cease persecution campaigns against civilian populations, and you will. Broadcast this surrender to your empire, or we resume fire. Agreed, all terms accepted. Brennan realized he was crying. Tala's blanket clutched in his hands, tears streaming down his face. Earth hadn't just come. They had brought overwhelming force and used it with precision, mercy, and moral clarity. Commander Rallies, Miller's voice returned to a private channel. With your permission, we'd like to render humanitarian assistance, medical ships and engineering teams standing by. Permission granted, Rallies said quietly. And Admiral, thank you. You asked for help, we came. That's what neighbors do. Through the bunker's viewport, Earth ships filled the sky, not as conquerors, as protectors. Humanity had arrived, and everything changed. 3 days after the battle, Brennan stood in Haven 7's rebuilt medical center watching Earth doctors work alongside Dr. Solin's team. The wounded filled every bed, but now they had proper equipment, advanced medicines, and hope. A young, healthier child laughed while an Earth medic regenerated damaged tissue with technology that seemed like magic. Your people brought supplies for 6 months, Neera said, reviewing inventory lists with wonder. Medical equipment worth more than our entire colony budget. They're asking for nothing in return. That's not entirely true. Brennan watched Earth engineers installing new shield generators outside. They want us to survive. That's payment enough for them. Commander Rallies approached, his posture different now. Respectful. Captain Cole, Admiral Miller has requested a meeting. She asked specifically for you. Brennan's chest tightened. Grace Miller. He had known her 8 years ago when she was just a junior tactical officer. Now she commanded humanity's largest fleet. What would she think of him, the human who ran away when Earth needed everyone? The meeting took place in Haven 7's rebuilt council chamber. Admiral Miller entered without ceremony, her uniform bearing insignia Brennan didn't recognize. She was older, harder, but her eyes still carried warmth when she saw him. Brennan Cole, it's been a long time. Admiral Miller, or should I call you Grace? Grace works, she smiled briefly. Though I go by Admiral when Dominion commanders are watching, helps maintain the intimidating reputation. They sat across from each other. Rallies joined them along with Neera and several colony representatives. Outside, Earth ships maintained protective formation, a constant reminder that Haven 7 would never be alone again. I need to know, Brennan said. What happened to Earth? When I left, we barely had functional jump drives. The galaxy treated us like primitives. Now you have a fleet that could challenge the Dominion Empire. How? Grace's expression hardened with remembered pain. After you left, things got worse. The Galactic Council formally rejected our membership. Trade agreements fell through. We were isolated, mocked, dismissed. Earth had a choice: accept our place as galactic outcasts or change the rules entirely. You chose the latter. We had to. Earth formed a unified government for the first time in history. Every nation, every resource, every brilliant mind focused on one goal: ensure humanity would never be vulnerable again. Grace pulled up holographic displays showing Earth's transformation. The Ascension Initiative, 8 years of concentrated development. The images showed Earth's metamorphosis, massive orbital construction yards, research facilities spanning continents, test sites where new weapons reshaped landscapes. Most striking were the people, humans from every nation working together without the old divisions. We perfected fusion power first, Grace continued. That unlocked everything else. Quantum computing networks that could design ships in weeks instead of years. AI-assisted research that turned theoretical physics into practical weapons. We studied every major galactic conflict, learned from everyone's mistakes. The dreadnoughts, Raleigh's asked, leaning forward. Experimental class, designed specifically to counter conventional galactic warfare doctrine. The galaxy fights with energy shields and plasma weapons. We built ships that manipulate gravity and electromagnetic fields. They were expecting one type of war. We brought something completely different. Brennan processed this, pride and guilt warring inside him. I left during the worst of it, when Earth needed everyone. You left when staying would have broken you, Grace said gently. Brennan, Earth doesn't resent people who left. We understand. Watching the galaxy dismiss us hurt. Some people needed distance from that pain. But you stayed. I did, and it forged me into someone who could command this fleet. Grace's eyes held no judgment. Your path led you here to Haven 7, where you were positioned to send them. Distress call we needed to hear. Everything happened exactly as it should. Neera spoke up, curiosity overcoming protocol. Admiral, why did Earth respond? You could have remained isolated, safe. Why risk war with the Dominion? Grace turned to her and her answer resonated through the chamber. Because we remember what it felt like to be dismissed, to ask for help and hear silence, to face threats alone while civilizations that could have helped chose neutrality. She gestured toward the window, toward the colony outside. We became powerful not for conquest, but for moments like this, to be what we needed when no one else would. A philosophy of protection, Raleigh said quietly. More than that, a philosophy of remembering where we came from. Grace pulled up another display showing dozens of star systems. Haven 7 isn't the only distress call we've received. Since word spread about our intervention here, 17 other colonies have asked for protection. Mining outposts threatened by raiders, refugee stations facing starvation, research facilities under pirate siege. Can you protect them all? Brennan asked. We're building 4 more fleets, expanded shipyards across 3 systems. In 2 years, we'll have the capacity to maintain protective presence across 50 systems. Grace's determination was absolute. The galaxy spent centuries developing empires built on conquest. Earth is building something different, an alliance based on mutual defense and shared values. What about the Galactic Council? Raleigh's asked. They won't appreciate Earth's growing influence. The Council finally offered us membership last month. Full voting rights, trade agreements, the works. Grace's smile held no warmth. We declined. Shocked silence filled the chamber. Brennan broke it. You declined council membership. That's what Earth wanted for decades. Earth wanted acceptance when we were weak and desperate. The council only offered membership after seeing our fleet. Grace stood, moving to the window. We don't need validation from people who ignored our worth until we proved it through force. We'll work with any civilization that shares our values. Council membership not required. Outside, an Earth transport landed carrying more supplies. Colonists rushed to help unload, working alongside human crews without hesitation. Species that had been strangers 3 days ago now collaborated like old friends. The galaxy is changing, Neera observed. We're forcing it to change, Grace agreed. For too long, power meant domination. We're showing that power can mean protection. That strength can be used to defend rather than conquer. Brennan watched Tala playing with Earth soldiers, her laughter carrying through the window. The same child who faced death days ago now drew pictures for humans who crossed the galaxy to save her. What happens now? He asked. Now we make sure Haven 7 thrives. Grace turned to Rawlins. We're offering formal alliance terms. Earth will maintain defensive presence in this system. In exchange, Haven 7 becomes a trading hub in our protection network. Not subjects, Rawlins clarified. Equals, partners, friends. Grace extended her hand. What do you say, Commander? Rawlins took her hand without hesitation. Haven 7 accepts. Brennan felt something shift in the universe. This wasn't empire building. It was something new, something better. Humanity had found its purpose among the stars. 1 week after Haven 7's salvation, the colony transformed from dying settlement to thriving hub. Earth engineers had installed shield generators powerful enough to withstand sustained Dominion assault. The devastated eastern sector now hosted a bustling market where humans traded with Kelthians, Avari, Pelthier, and a dozen other species. Children played in streets that had been rubble, their laughter erasing memories of bombardment. Brennan walked those streets with Tala, who insisted on showing him every improvement. See, the humans fixed our school, and they brought real food, not the synthetic stuff. And look, she pointed at an Earth transport unloading construction materials. They're building a real hospital. They're doing a lot, Brennan agreed, watching his people work alongside colonists. No separation, no hierarchy, just shared purpose. Captain Brennan, Tala looked up with those enormous dark eyes. Why did the galaxy not help us, but Earth did? The question held complexities a child shouldn't have to consider. Brennan knelt to her level. Sometimes people forget what's important. They get scared or selfish or just too busy with their own problems. But Earth remembered something the galaxy forgot. What? That we're all people. Doesn't matter what we look like or where we're from. When someone needs help, you help them. Tala processed this seriously. Is that why you sent the message? Yeah, because I hoped Earth still believed that, even after the galaxy treated them badly. They did believe it. Tala hugged him suddenly. Thank you for hoping. She ran off to play with other children, human and alien mixed together without thought. Brennan watched them throw tight. This was what Earth was fighting for. Not territory, not resources, just the simple right for children to play without fear. She's resilient. Admiral Miller approached, carrying supplies for the medical center. Even commanding officers did regular work in Earth's fleet. Leadership through example, not decree. They all are, shouldn't have to be though. Brennan fell into step beside her. Grace, can I ask you something? Always. When Earth received our distress call, how long did it take to decide to respond? Grace smiled slightly. 7 minutes for the Defense Council to authorize fleet deployment. Most of that was confirming coordinates. The decision itself took about 30 seconds. 30 seconds to commit your entire available fleet to defend people you'd never met. Brennan, the decision was made 8 years ago when we started the Ascension Initiative. We built this fleet knowing exactly what we'd use it for. She gestured at Haven 7. Every ship, every weapon, every tactical system was designed with one purpose: protect those who can't protect themselves. They reached the medical center where Dr. Solon coordinated with Earth doctors. A young Avari child was learning to walk again using human prosthetics. His parents wept with gratitude while Earth medics celebrated the milestone like it was their own child. Dr. Solon has requested assignment to Earth's Medical Research Division, Grace said. Along with 47 other colony specialists, they want to help us help others. You're not just saving colonies, you're building a movement. We're building a community, based on choice, not conquest. Grace pulled up a holographic display showing star maps. This is the Haven Network. 17 systems have formally requested Earth's protection. 23 more are in negotiation. Within a year, we'll have a coalition of 60 independent systems choosing cooperation over isolation. The map showed Earth at the center, not as ruler, but as hub. Trade routes connecting worlds that previously had no contact. Defense pacts ensuring mutual protection. Research agreements sharing. Technology freedom. The Galactic Council must be panicking, Brennan observed. They sent 3 delegations last week demanding we cease illegal expansion. We reminded them that sovereign systems can ally with whoever they choose. Grace's expression hardened. They're not upset about our expansion. They're upset they can't control it. What about the Dominion? Rex surrendered, but the Empire won't accept that humiliation. Let them try. We've positioned defensive fleets at key points throughout the sector. Any Dominion aggression will face immediate response. Grace zoomed the map to show fleet positions. But here's what they don't understand. We're not their enemy. We'll trade with them, negotiate with them, even cooperate on mutual interests. We just won't tolerate them threatening civilians. An Earth lieutenant approached. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. They're requesting formal negotiations. Tell them we'll consider it. Our priority remains humanitarian assistance in the outer colonies. Grace dismissed the lieutenant, then turned to Brennan. Want to know the real reason the Council is concerned? Why? Because we're proving their entire system is unnecessary. For centuries, they've maintained power by controlling access to advanced technology, trade routes, defensive pacts. They made smaller civilizations dependent on Council approval. Grace's voice carried quiet intensity. We're offering those same civilizations protection, technology, and trade with no strings attached. No membership fees, no political subordination, just cooperation between equals. You're making the Council obsolete. We're making their control obsolete. The Council can evolve or fade away. That's their choice. Brennan looked at the colony, at the ships overhead, at the impossible transformation of everything he thought he knew. Grace, I want to rejoin Earth's fleet, whatever capacity you need. I was hoping you'd say that, she smiled genuinely. We need liaisons to multi-species colonies. People who understand both human values and alien cultures. You're perfect for it. When do I start? After Haven 7's integration is complete. 3 weeks. Grace paused. Brennan, you left Earth when staying hurt too much. Now you're coming home when we need you most. That's not coincidence. That's purpose finding you. Before Brennan could respond, alarms sounded across them. Colony, not attack warnings. Communication alerts. Bosch's voice came through emergency channels. Commander Raleigh's, Admiral Miller, everyone needs to see this. We're receiving distress calls, multiple systems, simultaneous attacks by raiders across the sector. They rushed to the command center where displays showed carnage. 5 colonies under assault, 2 mining stations surrounded, a research outpost broadcasting desperate pleas for help. Grace's expression shifted to command mode instantly. How many ships do we have in range? 6 cruisers, 14 destroyers, the carrier Defiant, her tactical officer reported. Not enough for simultaneous response to 7 locations. Grace studied the displays, making calculations. We'll have to prioritize. No, Raleigh stepped forward. Haven 7 has functional defenses now. Take the ships protecting us, save the others. Commander, that leaves you vulnerable. We have shields, weapons, and trained defenders. Those colonies have nothing. Raleigh's met Grace's eyes. You taught us that power means protecting others. Let us prove we learned that lesson. Grace smiled with fierce pride. Very well. All Earth ships prepare for emergency deployment. Multiple targets, maximum speed. We're not letting anyone die today. The fleet mobilized with practiced efficiency. Within minutes, Earth ships were jumping to FTL, racing toward desperate colonies. Brennan watched them go, understanding finally what Earth had become. Not an empire, not conquerors, but something the galaxy had never seen. Protectors by choice, heroes by commitment. And they were just getting started. 2 months after the battle that saved Haven 7, the colony hosted a gathering that would reshape galactic politics. Representatives from 34 star systems crowded the rebuilt council chamber, species that had never met now negotiating mutual defense and trade agreements. At the center of it all, Admiral Grace Miller facilitated discussions with the patience of someone who understood that lasting change required foundation building. Brennan moved through the crowds, translating conversations and mediating cultural misunderstandings. A Kelthian merchant argued shipping routes with a human engineer, while an Avari agricultural specialist shared crop rotation techniques with Earth botanists. Species that the galaxy had kept isolated through bureaucracy and fear now collaborated freely. Captain, coal a moment, Commander Raleigh's gestured toward a quieter corner. He wore new insignia, the symbol of the Haven Alliance, Earth's expanding coalition. The Council is sending another delegation, fifth one this month. Let them send 10 more. Brennan watched a group of children playing, human and alien mixed together, no thought given to differences. We don't need their permission to help people. They're offering significant concessions, full trade agreements, technology sharing, defensive pacts. Raleigh's lowered his voice. They're scared, Brennan. Earth's alliance has grown to 47 systems in 2 months, more requesting membership daily. The Council is losing influence. Good. For centuries, they've maintained power by controlling who gets protection and resources. Time someone showed there's another way. Dr. Nira Solon joined them, carrying data tablets filled with medical research. The joint xenobiology project is yielding remarkable results. Earth's regenerative medicine combined with Kelthian cellular knowledge could revolutionize trauma care for every species. We're sharing everything freely through the Alliance network. That's the difference, Raleigh's observed. The Council hoards knowledge as leverage. Earth shares it because helping others helps everyone. Admiral Miller concluded her negotiations and approached their group. We've finalized the Haven Network Charter. 47 systems signing today. Mutual defense guaranteed. Free trade. Open technology exchange. No governing body, just cooperative agreements and regular councils. The Council will call it an illegal alliance, Nira said. Let them, every system signed voluntarily. The Council can't claim sovereignty over independent worlds choosing cooperation. Grace pulled up a holographic display. But that's not our biggest news. Show them, Brennan. Brennan activated his tablet, revealing Earth's latest project. Massive construction yards in orbit around Earth and 3 allied systems. New ship classes on assembly lines. Advanced defensive platforms. Most impressive were the training facilities where mixed-species crews learned integrated tactical operations. 4 new fleets launching within 6 months, Brennan explained. Each with human command staff but integrated crews from Alliance members, not Earth controlling others but Earth enabling collective defense. You're building an army, Raleigh said quietly. We're building a shield, Grace corrected. The galaxy has empires built on conquest and councils built on control. We're offering a third option, a coalition built on choice. Anyone can join, anyone can leave. The only requirement is commitment to defending each other. An urgent communication interrupted the gathering. The young Pelthier officer Vosh appeared on the holographic display, broadcasting from Haven 7 sensor station. Admiral Miller, we're detecting massive fleet movements. Dominion Empire mobilizing forces. 300 ships heading toward Alliance space. The chamber fell silent. 300 ships meant the Dominion wasn't raiding anymore. They were going to war. How long until they reached the outer colonies? Grace's voice remained calm despite the threat. 18 hours to first contact. Target appears to be the refuge system, 20,000 civilians. Grace's jaw tightened. Refuge had joined the Alliance 3 weeks ago, desperate for protection against Dominion persecution. Now the Empire was making an example of them. All Alliance fleets, emergency mobilization. Converge on refuge system, maximum speed. Grace turned to the gathered representatives. This is what I warned about. The Dominion can't accept that civilizations have the right to choose their own alliances. They're coming to prove that might makes right. Can we stop them? ambassador asked, fear obvious. 300 ships against what we have. We have 240 ships within range, but numbers aren't everything. Grace activated a larger display showing fleet positions. We have superior technology, better coordination, and something the Dominion lacks: absolute commitment to protecting those who can't protect themselves. Raleigh stood. Haven 7 is sending our defensive fleet, 12 ships. They're yours to command. One by one, other representatives pledged ships, former merchant vessels retrofitted for combat, system defense forces, even civilian transports volunteering for support roles. The alliance wasn't just Earth anymore. It was a movement. We leave in 2 hours, Grace announced. This won't be like Haven 7. The Dominion is bringing everything they have. We're going to show them why that's not enough. Brennan found himself beside Tala, who had grown taller in 2 months, her silver skin gleaming with health instead of malnutrition. She held the blanket sheet, him now cleaned and carefully folded. You're going to fight, she asked. We're going to protect people, just like Earth protected you. Will you come back? Brennan knelt, taking the blanket. I promise, and when I do, I'll tell you about all the people we saved. Because that's what neighbors do. Tala repeated the words Grace had spoken months ago. Exactly right. The Earth fleet departed Haven 7 with ceremony and determination. 47 systems watched as their combined forces jumped to FTL, racing toward what could be the defining battle of the era. Inside the flagship Relentless, Brennan stood on the bridge beside Admiral Milton. The crew around them represented 6 species working in perfect coordination. Humans at tactical, Avari at sensors, Kelthians managing communications, Healthier coordinating fighter squadrons. They believed no one was coming, Grace said quietly, watching refuge system approach on Long Rand. Again, because humanity had learned the hardest lesson and refused to forget it. When someone asks for help, you answer, every single time, no exceptions, no hesitation. That was the human way, and the galaxy was finally listening.